So, Stu, restate your question again so I fully understand it and I can answer it clearly here.
Well, I think thinking about taking out the fact of who we would want to win in this sort of eternal battle for a moment, speaking strategically as to how you would approach it if you were a Democrat. I initially kind of proposed the question as to how you might deal with the Trump administration. Would you maybe look for the gains that you can get while he's in power, that may be common ground? He's talking about getting rid of the filibuster, for example. I every day that I was alive, up until a certain gentleman came down a very nice escalator, Democrats loved tariffs and were arguing for them constantly. And like, if you have an ally with that on that one issue in the White House, why wouldn't you sit here and try to go as far as you could down that road and help him along on that, instead of just making him into an enemy and calling him Hitler all the time? And that led to us talking about, well, you mentioned that, because the strategy has changed. It's no longer a progressive strategy where you're trying to move policy a specific direction. It's about a revolution and, changing this into a socialist place where you now you now want the chaos on the streets. You now want people to be at odds like that. And so we led that to, did the Democrats, are they moving too fast on this strategy? If they want to eventually admit and take the masks off and say they are socialists, we're all socialists now. We're getting that with Mamdani and AOC and Bernie Sanders and the like. To me, part of the reason they lost in 2024 is they went really far, really fast with things like gender and the like, things that people kind of just like crinkled their brow and said, whoa, I don't want that. Right. So did they move too fast, and is this the right strategy for them?
Okay, so let me start with that. That, I believe, is a strategy of chaos. And so it was accepted because it is just this deconstruction kind of idea that has been preached now from the universities and the intellectuals and the the Democrats. Many of them buy this this garbage from the universities, but it was all started really by socialist revolutionaries, okay, as a product of chaos. Would you agree with me that there are at least two different kinds of Democrats that might vote for Schumer and don't think that they don't believe that there's this great change coming, and they want the same kind of America that we want. There's that Democrat, and then there's the socialist, the revolutionary Democrat.
Yeah, probably not the same America we want, but one that's reminiscent of what we remember about a country. Right, yeah.
Correct. Okay. So that has been, since early 1900s, that's been the progressive way. Forget Democrats. It's a progressive. Democrats became progressive in the early 20th century. And when they became progressives, they did it because the Democrats did not want a revolution. They believed in socialism. They believed in communism. Remember, this is before communism had been tried and failed over and over and over again. But they believed in that. And they really thought it was the right thing to do, and that science was going to be able to control society and everything else. And so it would have all the answers, and we have to go that because this is the scientific way, okay? And it's also the right way to do it. Spiritually, it's the right way. They were making this case. Those were progressives. Socialists were like, yeah, it is the right way, so let's do it now. Progressives said, no, we'll get to your socialist utopia, but we'll do it one step at a time. You think you can relate to this because how many times do we have to be Charlie Brown and our own side is Lucy with the football?
Oh,
okay.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was thinking about as you were laying that out.
Correct. And what was the response from our side?
Our side always said, look, we just need to win that next election. And if we win that next election, we'll move the ball down. Don't worry, I'll hold the ball right here so you can kick it. We just have to win that next election first.
And when that was over, what did we do? We hired the world's largest wrecking ball, Donald Trump. Okay? We're done with that. We don't believe you anymore. We're done with that. correct? Now imagine that you've been playing this game since the early 20th century, and you are a diehard socialist, and you've been moving the ball incrementally. But there's been times where during the Great Depression, during the 1960s, you could we could take it now. We could take it now. Okay. During Jimmy Carter, we can take it now. But it's always just moving a little bit closer. Then finally in 2008, it's your shot. You have a guy who you know is a Marxist. Okay. He was steeped in all of this stuff. And the Democrats are going to run this guy. And you're like, yeah, they're running him, and he's a Marxist. I don't know if they believe in that, but this guy's going to get it done. This guy believes this stuff. They get all excited, and what happens? He makes big changes, but it's progressive change. And he becomes a guy that they no longer trust. Wait a minute, you were just part of the system. You got rich. You did all the things that you said you were against when you were a young Marxist, and look at you. Then what do the Democrats do? The next person they run is Hillary Clinton. She's not a communist. She doesn't want revolution. She wants authoritarianism. She wants globalism. There's a very big difference between those two, okay? Then after that one, you get Joe Biden. And what does he do? He engages or allows all the chaos to happen, okay? So it works to their advantage. The socialists want all of this chaos. They want all of this control. But so do the Democrats, the new kind of Democrat. They want control. They just want global control. They're much more fascistic. And I say that literally fascistic because Joe Biden talked about it all the time. These public-private partnerships. What do the socialists want? They want to control schools. Socialist communists. They want to control schools, but so do the authoritarians. They want to control schools. They want a communist system where all the means of production are owned by the people through the state. But the authoritarians on the left, they will never call it this, but a fascistic system. Okay, it's a globalist system where all of these giant corporations work with the government and do what the government says, and they'll allow you to be successful as long as you do exactly what the government says to do. The communists, they don't want the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Socialists don't want that. They want a bill of responsibilities, what the government must do. Our Bill of Rights is what the government cannot ever do. That's an impediment to socialism. You got to discredit and get rid of that. The Democrats don't want to lose that. They just want to weaken it. They just want to confuse it, but they don't want to get rid of it because they still need the illusion of America. And they're for some of the stuff because it's been transformed by them over 100 years. They want the Fed. Do you think the socialists want the Fed? No. They don't want the socialists don't want the WEF. They don't want just a restructured social order. They want a completely restructured social order. The Democrats, the authoritarians, they want friends in the media. They want friends at tech. Do you think the socialists want friends in the media? They'll drag those people out in the streets and beat them to death so fast, and they'll do the same with all the people in tech. Okay? That's what will happen. That's the difference. You have revolutionaries, and then you have politicians. Now, you get Barack Obama in, and then you get Joe Biden in, and they see what's happening with Joe Biden. He is building a global government. That's what's happening. He's in bed with the WEF. That's a global government. That's even worse than what we have right now. Well, we can take advantage of the instability. When the Democrats blow it, I really believe the socialists have said, enough is enough. You know, guys, we just need one more election and then you'll get what you want. Enough is enough. You're never going to give us this socialist utopia. You're not for those things. And we have danced with you at this party forever. And you know what? You didn't notice how strong we were getting. Now you brought us to the dance. But is it still that way? Now we're in charge of the dance and we're shaking you. Get out. That's what's happening. And it's because they're so sick and tired. So there's the actual socialists don't have the same strategy as the Democrats do, because they don't have the same end goals. And I think that's what makes the socialists so dangerous. That's why we're seeing the uptick in violence, because Democrats, and it's hard to say this because so many Democrats, I think, are really confused, because I think they've just been herded into the PSYOP operation. PSYOPs have happened to them over and over again. And so they're just convinced that everybody else is Hitler, and they don't see what's happening in their own party. They think that the socialist is the Democrat. It's not. And socialists do believe ends justify the means. Socialists do believe kill them if they get in your way, kill them. That's why you're seeing the uptick of that, is because it's the socialists now that are in control of the party. Almost completely in control. They're not completely in control because you still have the Chuck Schumers hanging around. But the Chuck Schumers of the world, they're afraid. They know they're no longer the lead at the dance. They know they're about to be eaten if they don't just do what they're told to do. Just, you are going to stand against this. You're going to shut down the government, because that works to the advantage of the socialists, not the Democrats. To the socialists. The socialists need the economic chaos. They need the poverty. They need all of those things so they can dramatically change. You can only weaken a government so much. You can only weaken an economy so much before it's not in your advantage anymore, because you won't be able to fix it. Look how fast Donald Trump fixed in 2016 what Obama had done. There was so much damage done to the economy by 2020 to 2024. You look how long it's taking him to fix things. It's not easy anymore. Democrats know that. We can't completely destroy everything unless you have the framework and you're going to drop it into a new world order. It's just the time now to fight for them. Are we a globalist new world order that loves all these corporations, or are we a socialist new world order that does not get into bed with all of these corporations and everything? That's the real rift here. That's what's actually, we're watching this play out, and nobody seems to be talking about it. But that's the real game that is being played out. Thank you for thinking for yourself and being part of a movement, because that's really what all of this is. If you want the full story, you want to go deeper, go to blazetv.com/Glenn. Go there right now, sign up, no interruptions, just the truth, uncensored and unfiltered. Don't just watch, take a stand. And I'll see you over there in a minute.